if you did look and you're like, okay, this person over here is using newsletters. This person over here is regularly using lives. This one over here is doing a webinar, which could be similar live. But if you're seeing people are using these different ones, do you have a point of view on what they really should be leaning into when it comes to LinkedIn, or should they be
100%.
testing? Okay, what is it?
So I'll tell you a story of a client. So I've got a client who, what he does is he owned a managed service providing company, and he wanted to work with other managed service providers or IT providers to like partner with their business to help them grow their business. And so he kind of knew the semblance of an offer. He was trying on LinkedIn for 6 months, couldn't get in, was creating content, following what to do, commenting and stuff.
Yeah.
He jumped on our first call together and he's like, Matt, this is my situation. What do I do? And I was like, all right, like how many meetings are you having? He's like, barely any. Okay, I was like, cool. So your number one goal starting out, after you've crafted some semblance of an offer and an offer doc and a pitch deck, needs to be spending 40 hours a week either reaching out to people to talking to them or working with customers, whether it be paid or free. That is the metric. Anything else is procrastination. And so I always suggest people talk to your customers, talk to your ideal potential clients. And so I said to him, just message people and offer to get on a call for free and give them half an hour to 60 minutes of advice, literally. And so he did that for the next 3 weeks. He messaged in the group chat like a week later. He's like, oh my God, I got my first testimonial. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, got on a call with this guy, recorded it. At the end, he said, Andrew, this was the best piece of advice I've ever had from anyone consultant in the past 6 months. This was absolutely amazing. He then just took that, posted on LinkedIn, got 1 like, got an inbound lead because he talked to someone. And then he came back to us in the call, I think it was 2 weeks later, and he's like, my God, what I thought people wanted before, they don't even want. And so it's this, everyone has this fear of like reaching out to people and starting a conversation, and this fear of rejection. Like in small business or in any business, right? Rejection is part of your day-to-day. You get emotionally punched in the face when your employee quits, when this happens, like it happens, right? Yeah. But most people just can't cop that initial rejection because it really is discomfort and it really hurts. And so the biggest thing I get people to do is like the push, just start talking to people. Like, and what happens, like we've got a guy in our program, he's about nearly 60. His name's Ian. He's an ex-hypnotist. And he just ran an offer campaign, which we get people to do, which you DM a lot of people. He closed 3 clients and he got 1 client. He had a new offer, but he's like, no, this client's from Saudi Arabia and wants me to fly out to them and run a hypnotist workshop for them. And he's like, man, I closed 3 deals just from talking to people and I only started 60 chats. This is crazy. So most people just don't, with LinkedIn, everyone that messages like a corporate robot, usually. Yeah. So you just need to message like a human being and just actually talk to people, and then they'll respond to you. And then you need to have like 50 times the chats than you would think you would need to have. Like most people watch a movie and they're like, the one person goes to one event and they have this like big break where they meet this person. And you're like if you look at someone like Stephen Bartlett from the Diary of a CEO, right? He started out sending thousands of cold emails, thousands to people. And so it's this fear of initiating conversations and just literally saying to someone, hey, I'm just starting out. I'm looking at building this thing. Can I ask you a few questions? And like, if someone messaged me, that'd be like 100% I'll answer your question. Like, why not? I want to help you. Like everyone wants to help people like throughout. And it's that initial piece where you start the conversations, but people start the other way around where they start with content and commenting, which is like the worst advice ever. Like if you just create content and comment, you have no context of what people even want to be able to say anything. But the problem is like that narrative of commenting and content is being fed by people who ate shit when they couldn't sell. So they had to outmarket their way out of it to get to 100,000 followers. And now because they have an established brand way bigger, now they can actually sell because people come back to them, but they're giving advice to people with 2,000 followers that it would literally never work for them.
As you say that, that's like, it feels like, well, yeah, that now feels so obvious, even though, again, like I say, guilty, done that, and it is that interesting thing because that's what one thinks, especially because there are people out there who are like, yeah, make people attracted to you and come your way. And they think you do that by posting again, marketing, but it doesn't matter if they're, attracted to that piece there because it's kind of like dates. You don't ever go on a date if you don't ask somebody out on a date, unless that one person happens to come and ask you, but the chances of that are a lot more rare than you approaching the ones you're interested in yourself.
Yeah. It's like if you go dating, it's like what you're doing is you're playing on hard mode by doing commenting, hunting. You're trying to find a date by going to the nightclub at midnight. Who are you going to find there? Like
Yeah,
it's literally never going to happen unless you're like the best looking person in the room. Then people will come up to you, and that's what someone with an extremely established personal brand has.
sure.
They
That
are
makes
the
sense.
best person looking person in the room, but they advise other people to do the same thing that they do. But they're doing it so they get people to engage on their
Yes.
stuff, to pump up their brand, which essentially is just like MLM all over again. But
Yeah.
like
Right.
the root issue that people have, it's like I've got a client, Vidya, who she did this for 7 months, made no money. First two businesses failed. Like her parents were like, "You got to go get a job." She's like 23, right? First thing when she started, I was like, "Look, just talk to everyone. Ask the clients what they even want." So she was like, "Cool." She messaged 200 people on WhatsApp, spoke to all of them. She came back to me. She's like, "Yeah, 90% of what I thought people wanted was wrong. They don't even know what my
Mm.
service is." And then she went on to close like 7 people in 2 or 3 weeks because she already had a
Right.
brand because she built it as well, like over time and a lot of
Yeah.
connections because she actually talked to people. It's this fear of rejection that people have that like, it's like, a lot of people are scared of even like, let's say you're waiting in a line or let's say you're on a bus, right? Going somewhere. Everyone just sits there on their phone.
Right.
Like most people are so scared that they wouldn't even just talk to the person next to them and just start
Hmm.
the chat. Like it's literally that. It's kind of like the jump. It's like jumping in a cold shower kind of thing. And you kind of need to like throw people into that. And then they realize if they've been engaging for 6 months on LinkedIn, they're like, oh my God, I've been doing this all wrong. And then
Yeah.
they kind of just, the momentum just pushes them through and they start more and more chats. And then they like just stop posting sometimes. Like our client, Roy, he just stopped posting. He's like, I don't really need posting. Like I'm just getting so many clients through the DMs.
That's interesting. And what you just said there with that, I think of what's Noah's last name from Oak. Yeah, yeah. No, it's good, but it's also again, as they say it now, like it becomes that thing. It's like, oh yeah, no, you labeled it in certain ways that makes you realize what I think a lot of people lean back into the marketing again, thinking about it like the business card or the website. But it's like it doesn't matter if you have that if you're not actually having conversations with people. It feels like, oh yeah, look at that, look at I'm official, but it's like no, who cares?
Yeah.
And is it? I forget Noah's last name from OK Dork and AppSumo. But he talks
Yeah,
about the
he wrote a book on it, Start a Business in a Weekend.
yeah,
I love it. That guy's awesome. He talks about the same thing. He's like
right,
just one of his first things in the book, I'm pretty sure, is go start a conversation with a stranger. Or I think he
exactly.
says, ask Starbucks to give you a free coffee. I
Yep,
think that's the
discounts. It's asking everybody
yeah,
for discounts too, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna get no's, but it's like rejection therapy. As soon as you start getting enough of the no's, you start also getting yeses, and you realize,
yeah.
oh crap,